Good morning. Welcome, everyone. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. Saturday morning. Great Saturday, to be honest with you. We're right in the fall. Tell me about it. Well, lots to talk about today. Got lots of topics, but if you're tuning in for the first time, let me just tell you a little bit about the show. My name's Adam Helfman. I'm a home improvement expert, fourth-generation contractor. Been in the business since I've been a kid. And now I share my advice, my experience with homeowners who are thinking of getting home improvement done in their house, finding a contractor, and getting the questions they ask them so it's done properly. Now, let me just say this. I'm not a do-it-yourself show. However, I'm not anti-do-it-yourself. I'm just pro-do-it-for-me, meaning I'm the kind of guy that, like, from the neck down, I'm worth minimum wage. So I can't do a lot of this myself. I know how to, don't get me wrong, but I don't wear a tool belt. All my knowledge is from the chin up, and I want to share that with you. So if you want to fix your house up, if you're looking for contractors, if you're looking to ask the questions or the right questions that they know, it's pretty simple. Get a pen and paper, sit down, get some coffee, share it with me, and enjoy the show. Join the conversation. In fact, if you have questions this morning, you know that it's Shout Out Saturday. You can always text us, 248-539-9797, take a text. Let us know your question for home improvement. And, of course, for all my contractors out there and anybody that's listening that's an essential worker that enjoys home improvement chat, you can text in and say hello. We'll give you a hello back. So here's some of the topics I have today. Let's see here. Quite a few, actually. So we got one. There's 5 things you need to know if you're buying a fixer-upper. A lot of people want to flip houses and buy houses and fix them up. And, you know, it's not as easy as you think. It could be a nightmare. I have a couple friends who bought houses that were flip houses and they're living in them. And they're paying the price now. And I'll explain that later. But here's the thing. 9 places in your home to try out trendy paint colors. You know, you see it on TV. You see a beautiful earthy color, and you're like, yeah, I want to use that color, but you're like, you don't want to do the whole house because what if you hate it? So I'm going to give you some places to try it out. We're getting towards the cold weather. I know. I don't want to say the word winter, but I said it. How do you prepare your garden for winter? When do you water in the fall? Things like that. Is it time to blow out your sprinklers? If you're a first-time home buyer or you're a new homeowner, we're going to give you some tips on what to look for, especially if you're like moving into a new neighborhood you don't know about. And then, we're going to talk about replacing things in your home. Okay. How often does your deck need to be replaced, or your roof or your foundation need to be repaired or looked at? How about a water heater, toilets, clothes dryers, any kind of appliance? We got quite the list this morning. And of course, we always want to say shout outs in a good morning and hello to everyone. Bubba from Livonia, thanks for tuning in and texting. Good morning to you, my friend. If you want to watch the show, you can go to 97.1 The Ticket on Facebook and or Hire It Done. We're live streaming there as well. In fact, I'm wearing my Notorious B.I.G. hoodie today because I'm feeling like Big Papa. Yeah. That's what I thought. So what do you need? If you're going to buy a fixer-upper, what do you need to know? Okay. A lot of times people want to buy a new home, but if there's not one in the neighborhood, you got to buy one that needs work. Totally common, totally legit. The plus side, fixer-uppers usually come with a lower price. Depending on location, of course, real estate agents will always tell you location, 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 right? So that's important. But you also have less competition and a lower pressure sale on the whole. So here's the deal, okay? If you're considering buying a house that needs to be fixed up, first thing you want to do is look at an alternative mortgage program, like construction loan, 203K, equity line of credit, things where, let's say the house is $200,000, but you need to put $50,000 into it. So you really need a mortgage for $250,000 or more to make sure that you can move in. So that's important. Now, what about appraisals? Appraisals are the biggest scam in the real estate market slash home improvement slash any of that, okay? And I'll explain to you why. An appraiser comes to your house and he looks at it and he Googles the address and he finds out sales that are close by. And he comes up with some arbitrary number. That's what it comes down to. I had a refinance over the wintertime last year, and literally because of the snow, the appraiser walked around my house and docked me for a few things and legitimately tried to lie his way out of being a lazy ass. And so I had to get in a big fight with him. So appraisals to me are very difficult. And if you're going to find a home that's in disrepair, you might face challenges with your inspection or your appraisal like I did. It's true, even more if you're using FHA or a VA loan. But they have to follow strict requirements. But again, it's for the buyer. It's for the benefit of the homeowner. Literally, it's important. Okay? So I want you to know that. And then we have 3 more items that I'm going to give you after we take this break. My name's Adam Helfman. This is the Hire It Done Radio Network. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. Shout out to Greg Tittle from Tittle Brothers. He's listening this morning. I think they listen every week, waiting for me to talk about them. That's right. So we were talking about when you're buying a fixer-upper, what are the things you need to know? And by the way, later in the hour, and then at the 8 o'clock hour also this morning, we're going to be having an attorney on that specializes in home improvement contracting law and real estate and construction law is part of his expertise. And we're going to talk about how to fire your contractor, and conversely, for the contractors who listen, we're going to talk about how to fire a homeowner and all the laws that, we're going to refresh our laws and see about, does it make sense to hire a contractor or hire an attorney to review a home improvement contract? And are some of the clauses that attorneys put in these contracts for a home improvement contractor, are they even doable? Well, we're going to break it down later on. But right now, if you're buying a fixer-upper, we already said you might need an alternative finance or mortgage program, like a 203K or a construction loan. Then the appraisal can make or break your whole deal. And that's the problem because it's all fuzzy math. It bothers me, but whatever you can do. I have to bite my tongue around appraisers because literally they shouldn't even have a job. And if you think I'm wrong, change my mind. Google can do the same damn thing. So what else? Well, how about having a backup living space, right? You buy a fixer-upper. You might not want to end your lease or your house if you're selling it and moving into your existing home until it's ready. That becomes a juggling issue, right? Because if you think about it, you don't want to get stuck not moving into the house or moving in and it's not done yet. That becomes a big headache, right? Because if the property needs serious repairs, you're going to live off-site until it's done. Trust me when I tell you. Now, what about when you're buying a new home and you're not sure what it needs? Maybe you want to bring a contractor along with you when you tour the new home. This will help you gauge what repairs might be necessary and how much they'll likely cost. Now, remember, most contractors are not going to go to a house that you don't own yet. It's like a waste of their time unless you're friends with them, unless you offer to pay them. That, my friends, is very important. You need to know that. Now, here's another thing. Contractors and homeowners don't have x-ray vision. You hear me? Contractors and homeowners don't have x-ray vision. So you need to be prepared to encounter problems below the surface, behind the walls. Not all issues are visible in a fixer-upper. For example, my friend Jason bought a house in Beverly Hills, beautiful home. The roof is leaking, the siding's leaking, plumbing was coming through the ceiling, just, the dishwasher wasn't working, the disposal wasn't working. He bought a house that someone bought, fixed up, and put it on the market, and all of a sudden now he's got a bunch of problems. Even though he had a home inspection, it becomes a big pain in the butt. So you need to make sure. You need to leave wiggle room. Wiggle. You need to leave wiggle room in your budget to account for potential surprises. But, again, it's a house that you like when you're done. So that's what I'm thinking. 248-539-9797. If you have a question, text me. Or if you want to email me, I'm always available via email. 248. My email is adam@hireitdone.com. I apologize. Anyways, that's what I wanted to tell you. But here's the thing. Hey, Adam, here's a question that came in this morning. We have a conservatory-type all-glass paneled sunroom. With the recent deluges of rain, specific areas have been overtaxed by water. Do you have a recommendation for a contractor who's experienced in resolving the specific need? Caulking. Yeah, Robert and Shelby Times. Okay, Robert. I think when you say conservatory-type all-glass room, I'm thinking you have like a four-season-style sunroom. Two things. A glazing or a glass company would be the best one to come out there who could take care of that area. Because if the glass is foggy, if there's condensation between the panes, if it's double pane, you might have to replace each panel. Now, if you have a lot of rain, caulking around the panels of glass that are still good is important. However, you need to make sure that you scrape the existing caulk out. You shouldn't caulk over caulk. It's a Band-Aid fix. Remember that. And you're from the east side. You said Shelby Township. So I have a great guy in Shelby Township that does glass like that. And Equitable Glass is the name of the company. Equitable Glass. And, of course, you can email me, Robert from Shelby Township, and let me know that you listened. And I'll send you the number. But right now, for whatever reason, I can't pull up their number. Let me try it. Let's see here. Okay, here it is. Equitable Glass. Okay, got it. As for Jay or Ian, Equitable Glass is 586-254-6486, in case you wanted to write that down. But you can always email me, Adam@HireItDone, and we can help you there, as you know. So now it's fall, right? We've got the fall checklist. We always talk a little bit each week about it. So I'm going to give you a quick 5 of them. 5 things to look at your house right now, this weekend, next weekend. By the way, if you have a question that Google can't answer this morning, let me know. 248-539-9797. Again, 248-539-9797. Love to answer any of your questions this morning. But right now we're going to be talking about fall maintenance. I'm going to give you 5 tasks to do this weekend or in this upcoming week, okay? That's the best thing. So, look, your home is your biggest investment. We all know that. And it doesn't have an odometer. You know, an odometer, you change your air filter. You know, an odometer, change the oil. It tells you, every 7,500 miles, every 3,500 miles, whatever it is. Your house doesn't have an odometer. Hire It Done is your odometer. So, now that you're going to be you got your home, you know it's an investment, and you know proper maintenance is key. So, this time of the year triggers a few things. I'm going to give you some simple ones today, okay? So, if you want to keep your home in tip-top condition, here's a fall maintenance task that you need to do. Check for and seal any air leaks around the windows and doors. It seems to be a very big common problem. Expanding foam insulation, spray foam insulation, caulk, both of those, game changers. Save you money, yes. You got to use the right caulk. You got to use the right spray foam. That's important, okay? So you got to get that done. I also want you to clean your gutters. I know it sounds easy, but get up. Be careful getting on a ladder. We know there's thousands of ladder injuries every year, but clean out your gutters, okay? Literally, gutters are a godsend for your home and also can destroy your home if they're plugged up and water leaks behind it. Trust me when I tell you. It'll rot your fascia boards. It'll drench your foundation. You'll have big issues, okay? That's important to know that. So I got the first 2, check for air leaks and clean your gutters. We got 3 more when we come back. I'm going to take a quick break, and if you have a question, text us, 248-539-9797. My name's Adam Helfman. This is the Hire It Done Radio Network. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this morning. You got a question Google can't answer? No problem. Text me the question, 248-539-9797. We're also doing shout-out Saturdays. You know how that goes. You're a contractor. You're listening. You're an essential worker. Text us. We'll give you a shout-out today. We're talking about 5 fall maintenance tasks. I'm giving you 5 to do this weekend. The first one was, check around the house for air leaks. I say it all the time, but you have no idea how important that is. Clean your gutters. Gutters will ruin your foundation, ruin your house, the fascia, soffits, all that if you don't have them cleaned properly. And yes, I say everyone should use protection. And when I say protection, I mean gutter protection. I want you to inspect your roof. How do you inspect your roof? Don't run up there and jump on it. Go to the street side. Everyone has a smartphone. Just turn your camera on and then zoom in. Look at your roof. All I want you to look for, shingles that are missing. Curled roofing shingles, any debris that could be on your roof, anything sticking out, any bald spots or granularless spots, we will call it. So the key here is, what do? You call a roofer after the fact. Go to hireitdone.com. We have the best roofers. So after you've inspected your roof, I want you to check your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. And do me a favor. Go to Ace Hardware today. Buy 9-volt battery that's made out of lithium. Lithium-ion 9-volt. Not a rechargeable, but the $10 lithium battery. And I say it every year, and I don't understand why people don't do it. But here's what I'm telling you. Please, go get that battery and put it in your smoke detectors. Why? That battery lasts 10 years. You hear me? 10 years. What is it, 2021? If the world's still around, the battery will still be working in 2031. How you like me now, right? So check your smoke detector and carbon monoxide. And if you want to get new ones, get the combo unit, right? Now remember, don't be putting a carbon monoxide detector down by your furnace, because the furnace is going to blow the carbon monoxide through the house. Put one in front of all the bedrooms, at the top of the stairs, because carbon monoxide, could kill you. Now, last but not least is inspect your furnace, okay? Inspect your furnace. How do you do that? It's real simple. Call a furnace company and get a fall tune-up. Let them clean the burners. Let them put a fresh air filter in. Let them adjust the thermostat for the winter. Make sure everything's working, right? And the reason why I say that is because maintenance is going to save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's going to prevent problems you might have with the contractor. So, you have a question this morning? Text me, 248-539-9797. What do you do? Here's another one came in from an additional question. Here we go. An additional problem that may be contributing to the sunroom water intrusion problem. Pine needles clogging the gutters and downspouts of the room. Okay, so pine needles are another nuisance for gutters, and they do clog them up. That's where gutter protection comes in. Now, every gutter protection company is going to tell you why their gutter protection is better for pine needles than everyone else, right? So, for me, it's difficult. The one that I've had the best luck with, literally, is Gutter Helmet from Atlas Home Improvement. They're out of like Ann Arbor area, and I will be honest with you. I watched the pine needles. I've seen the videos, so you might want to take a look at that. Okay, and we have a tip came in from Noggle Heating and Cooling in Tecumseh. Get your furnace inspected now, before it gets too cold and breaks down in the middle of the winter. Exactly. If you don't get your furnace tuned up now, the minute you turn it on and it's 2 degrees out, it's going to break. It's called Murphy's Law, my friends. So the question is now, let's say you're going to do all this defensive stuff. You're going to be proactive. You're going to listen to me. And then let's say you find a contractor and he screws everything up. What are you going to do? At what point do you hire an attorney? At what point do you have to litigate? Because listen, we live in a litigious society. Nobody wants to litigate. And I want you to be honest. I hate litigation. I avoid it at all costs because, in my opinion, nobody wins. Attorneys are important, okay? They're a necessary evil. They're a necessary bonus. There's a lot of more good than bad about attorneys. But when you mix attorneys in with renovation and homeowners and contractors, it becomes a big oy So, joining me on the Hire It Done radio show right now is Jacob Kahn. He's an attorney and counselor from the Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit law firm. And Jacob specializes in construction law. Would that be a good way to say it?
Business law and construction law. Yeah.
Business law and construction law. Well, Jacob, is it Jacob or Jake? What would you rather?
Jake works.
I like Jake. Me too. So, Jake, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Adam. Thanks for having me here.
So, we're in a situation in the economy right now where the demand for home improvement, the demand for renovation, is greater than the supply of good contractors and the supply, let's just say, of good materials. And so, a lot of contractors are having trouble getting materials and jobs are taking longer and the price is skyrocketing. Homeowner signs a contract with the contractor in good faith saying, hey, it's $40,000 for the kitchen. And we're at the end and the contractor says, well, when prices went up, you owe me another $20,000. That's a big red flag. And I've had that situation similarly come up many times now in the past 90 days. So Jake, let me ask you, when a homeowner, we're going to go right to the beginning, decides they want a kitchen, we'll use a kitchen as an example today,
All right.
and they hire or they interview contractors. So they're in the interview phase before they even hire. How important is it to discuss with the contractor about price increases? How does that handle and get it ahead of time? Is that important?
It's extremely important. Most of the clients that we advise now, we like to put cost escalation clauses into the contract that protects them in case of there's an escalation. And if your contract doesn't have a clause like that, the importance of talking to a homeowner about the cost increase during the project, trying to get something called a change order signed that covers that additional cost. So you're not coming to the end of a contract and submitting a final invoice or a draw request that, is substantially larger than the homeowner was expecting, and then a dispute arising from that.
Interesting. That's a great point. 248-539-9797. We're talking with Jake Kahn. He's an attorney that specializes in business law and construction law. And we're talking about when you're thinking of hiring a contractor, and we know in the current economic conditions, prices are all over the board. Prices are skyrocketing. How do you protect yourself as a homeowner? And he just said an escalation clause, which makes sense. Really good sense to me. Okay, so let's play that out. I hire XYZ contractor, and he says to me, yeah, no problem. I'll guarantee the price. Escalation clause, no problem. So now the homeowner's like, okay, I feel good. And, but we order the cabinets, and the distribution of the cabinets get made, but they don't have a trucker to deliver them to the warehouse, and then from the warehouse to my project. That takes an extra 60 days. No fault of the contractor, no fault of the homeowner. But the contractor did say to the homeowner, hey, typically my kitchens take 12 weeks. And now we're 8 weeks delayed. Is the homeowner, in your opinion, Jake, entitled to compensation because it took longer, even though it wasn't the contractor's fault?
That's a good question. And a lot of contracts have exceeded the estimated completion date over the last year and a half. You know that as well. I think it really just comes down to whether the delay was reasonable, and if it's at no fault to the contractor, the homeowner is probably just going to have to work with the contractor to wait until the cabinets are delivered to be able to have them installed, even when there's time of the essence clauses in the contract and a completion date. I mean, a lot of contracts also have something called a force majeure clause that if it's something outside of
act of God,
an act of God, a supply chain issue,
right. Suez Canal.
these contracts, clauses have really come up since the start of COVID because executive orders that cause shutdowns and all the supply chain issues. It really has made the delays
unbearable,
and it's affecting every contract.
Right, and by the way, time is money. In fact, Glenn Hagee, may he rest in peace, was the handyman guy on radio for years. He was really smart. I used to work with him on content and stuff. But he used to say your most important tool in your tool belt or your toolbox was your checkbook. Mm-hmm. And it was brilliant. But today, I took that to the next level. I believe the most important tool in your toolbox is time. I think time's a new currency because most homeowners don't have time to do anything.
I'll agree with that. And then as far as like getting back to, the kitchen project, the price, I mean, you can agree to a lump sum contract. I'll do your kitchen for $40,000.
Right.
You can agree to a time and material contract. I'll pay you for the material costs and the time of your laborers. The third option is a cost plus contract, which is essentially the contractor hiring. He might call himself a construction manager, but
that's a good idea.
He's going to charge somewhere 10 to 20% cost on top of all of his trades to do the work. And you'll see in today's world, especially
that could be possible
in especially in a higher end remodel.
Okay.
Contractors.
We're going to take a quick break, though, really quick. I want to talk about the cost plus because I think there's pluses and I think there's a lot of minuses to that. But we're going to take a quick break. We've got Jake Kahn, attorney. I'm loving it. This is Adam Helfman. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. We're talking home improvement law, construction law, what should be in a contract, what shouldn't be. And we've got Jacob Kahn from Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit, law firm that I'm familiar with. And, of course, I know Jacob. So you mentioned about cost plus. And for me, being raised in the home improvement business, my father told me cost plus was an easy way out. The real contractors would get the yellow pad out, pencil, and know how much lumber, know how much roofing, know how much nails, labor, and everything. And then he'd mark it up, and that would be the price, and you'd hold to it because that's the way you were. Now, today, with just-in-time inventory, first in, last in, first out, whatever type of production is, prices escalate. Commodities change. The market in the world is so small now, everything changes like a light. So there's a good argument to do cost plus. However, Jake, explain to me, if a contractor does cost plus with a homeowner and it's the cost of material plus a percentage, the cost of labor plus a percentage, what happens when the tile goes, they put the tile in and the homeowner's paying cost plus, but then there's defective tile and he has to redo some of it? At what point does the homeowner say, wait a minute, I don't want to pay twice, cost plus twice, What do you do?
Well, in that case, if it's defective work that was done by the trade or the contractor that you hired directly, the work should be repaired at no cost to the homeowner. But when you're dealing with a cost plus contract, there's something called a guaranteed maximum price.
Okay.
And when you're getting into contracts that are going to be cost plus with guaranteed maximum price, I'm sure at this point an attorney's involved.
Yes.
But that way it gives you a certain level of protection that this is going to be the cost of time and the labor and material plus, let's say, 15%, but it can't exceed $150,000. It can't exceed
okay.
$200,000.
So that's a great example. So we're going to use the $40,000 kitchen, and we ended up getting quotes. One guy was $80,000, one guy $60,000, one is $30,000. We settle on the guy for $40,000, and he says, "I'm going to give you cost plus, but in my experience as a contractor, this is a $40,000 kitchen." Now, they come to you. You say, "Okay, let's figure this out." Okay, boom, boom, boom. But let's put a not to exceed. Now, does that include if the homeowner says, "You know what? We're going to go what I call the 4 dirty words of home improvement. We might as well.
Mm-hmm.
We might as well get granite. We might as well do, Wolf or Sub-Zero refrigerators." And, all of a sudden, they added triple the amount of cost of material selections. How do you deal with that? Or what is there proper verbiage if the homeowner adds stuff?
That's a great question. So whenever you're adding something to a contract, which it should always be a written contract, I want to emphasize that, you should get these additions in writing. And so earlier we mentioned a change order. You should get a change order, an addendum to the contract, something that will reflect in writing as detailed as possible that makes the models what you're changing. And obviously, if this is going to be a cost plus with a guaranteed maximum price, there's going to be addendum to that contract that adjusts it to reflect these changes that you're making.
And this, what you just said, is the reason homeowners should consult with an attorney before they engage in a large project. $40,000 is a big project. It's not small money to sneeze at. That's why it's important to hire an attorney to maybe review it. Now, Jake, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if a homeowner says, all right, I like this guy, he's giving me good advice, I want to call him, can someone just call you and hire you to do a review? Or is that possible?
Yeah. If someone were to call me, ask me if I would review a contract before they entered into with a contractor, you can review it. In most cases, it's a couple hours at most.
Okay.
And then whatever time it takes to consult the client, if there's going to be active revisions, obviously it can increase from there. But making sure someone is better protected and understands the terms of the contract and what they're signing.
So, bigger picture. Let's say you got a $40,000 kitchen. We're using that as an example here. It could be anything. And does it make sense for a homeowner today, in today's economy, today's world, shortages of everything, shortages of labor, does it make sense to spend a few grand up front to plant the seeds of success in the solid foundation of your contract so that in 90 days, in 120 days from now, if the contract goes south, if the cabinets are crooked, if it's the wrong one and the builder decides that he needs more money, is that going to help you as a homeowner forestall or go any litigation, which is then it's all out. It's crazy then, right?
As an attorney, I'm going to say yes, but as a homeowner, I would also say yes. When you sign a contract, you're bound by the terms of the contract,
Correct.
unless something is found to be so egregious it's unconscionable or illegal and it can't be enforced. So being able to be better protected and knowing what you're signing, being able to revise the terms, we talked about it, how everyone's litigious these days.
Right.
Being able to put in a mediation arbitration clause into a contract can really benefit both parties and avoid the cost.
So let me ask you, now that you said arbitration and mediation. So I'm on the board of directors of the Better Business Bureau, and they have, they recommend alternative dispute resolution. That's the proper term I would use. I never was a fan of mediation because it wasn't binding. Meaning, if you went to mediation and someone sided with me, the homeowner still could say, you know what? I don't care what he says. I'm not going along. But arbitration, or binding arbitration, is like a mini court case. You both have to put your sides in, and you get arbitrators. Costs money, don't get me wrong, but at one point, someone decides who's right and who's wrong. Is that the way? Is it a simplified way, or is it more complicated than that?
That's a simplified way. I would agree with you, depending on the size of the case, the size of the value of the contract, whether mediation would be required. In the $40,000 kitchen remodel, I don't think you need to go to non-binding mediation. The cost wouldn't be worth it.
Right.
However, a arbitration clause for the American Arbitration Association with the construction industry rules, which is how we'd like to put the language, so you have
follow the way it should be.
An experienced construction individual or an attorney themselves who is the neutral, who is the decision maker. It's an out-of-court process. They have a fast-track system for under $100,000 claims. They claim you can resolve it in as fast as 60 days. It's really maybe closer to 90 to 120.
Right.
But it's definitely...
It doesn't drag it out. Courts take years now, especially with Zoom and the slowdown. This might be the right way.
It's less expensive than being in court. You resolve it much faster than being in court. And I can't advocate more for arbitration in a contract.
Okay. So what if it... so in the terms and conditions of a contract, you recommend an arbitration clause. Now, let's say I'm a contractor listening to the show today. Can I hire you to write my arbitration clause and put it in my contract?
Absolutely.
Because I recommend. Here's the thing: I know hundreds of contractors, and I always, when I pre-screen a contractor, obviously I err on the side of quality of the work. However, I ask a lot of business questions. Because here's the thing: you can have the best contractor with the best intentions, makes the best kitchens, the best room additions, the best brickwork, whatever it is, but he may not be great at the bookwork. He may not be great at the administrative end. A little sloppy, a little slow on things like that. But the quality of his work is so good, and his intentions are always to do the best thing. But that doesn't give him an excuse, because in the business world, we have a contract. You better follow it, buddy. Right?
Right. And then I just want to say, on the homeowner side, to make sure they understand, arbitration, like you said, is not free. So I recently had a case where I represented a contractor, and the homeowner refused to pay the filing fee for the arbitration, and they ended up entering an award against him, which became a judgment against him. And when we got to court, he said, well, I didn't know it was going to cost me $625 to be able to participate in arbitration, and he wanted the judgment set aside. And so you need to know what you're signing.
Did he get it set aside or no?
He did not get it set aside, because he signed a contract that said we would go to binding arbitration, and then when it came time for arbitration, he was given all the notices, and he refused to participate.
248-539-9797. You're a contractor, you want to fire a homeowner? Or you're a homeowner, you want to fire a contractor? You got a question about it? We've got an expert in studio right now, attorney at law, Jacob Kahn from the Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit law firm. You guys are in Bloomfield, or in Troy, right?
Long Lake and Crooks, Troy.
Okay, yeah. If someone wants to call you and ask questions, what's the phone number?
My direct dial is 248-290-0410.
You can always go to hireitdone.com, my friends, and click on Ask Adam, and email me, and I'll send you the information as well if you're driving. But we're talking about both ways. If you're a contractor and you want to fire a homeowner, if you're a homeowner, you want to have a problem with your contractor, or if you just want to level the playing field and have it written, your contract proper, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the dreaded change order policies. A change order, is it more than just adding on money to the job? I think not. My name's Adam Helfman. We've got Jake Kahn in studio. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. What a great Saturday. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We got lots to talk about today. In studio with me is Jacob Kahn. He's an attorney from the law offices of Denoweth, Dugan, and Parfit, of which I am familiar with. And Jacob specializes in business and real estate and home improvement, contracting, and all that kind of law. And we've been talking about if you're a homeowner, should you hire an attorney to review the contract? What are some of the special clauses? How do you prevent the price from going outrageously high? And just setting up successful renovation process with the right attorney. Most contractors don't want to have attorneys involved in home improvement. I don't blame them, but at the same time, it does help set up the job for the right, I would say, roadmap. So, Jake, change orders. Change orders are a necessary evil. They happen all the time, both ways, by the choice of the homeowner, by the choice of the contractor, and by just happenstance. Would you agree?
I would agree. And a change order can add value to the contract, increase the price, but there's also a deductive change order that can reduce the contract price.
Correct.
And any change order should be in writing. Just as the contract needs to be in writing, any change order needs to be in writing. It needs to be signed by, if you're the contractor, it needs to be signed by at least the homeowner, but it should be signed by both parties. I mean, there's a lot of disputes where a contractor's issued a change order, maybe emailed it to the homeowner never signed it, and then a dispute arises after the fact trying to enforce the unsigned change order.
So let me give you an example of a change order and tell me what you think the right way to handle is. We're going to use the $40,000 kitchen, and homeowner and contractor agree on the price, the contract signed, and they demo the kitchen. And when they demo the floor, they see rotted plywood, and they see a little bit from the leak. There was a leak years ago under the kitchen sink. It rotted the floor away, and it makes good sense to not put new plywood over rotted floor. So, contractor in good conscience says to the homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner, we've got rotted plywood here. And to me, the ultimate contractor says, hey, listen, Mrs. Homeowner, we have rotted plywood, and in good conscience, we don't want to finish the floor over rotted plywood. So what we're going to do is, here's our proposed solution. We're going to sister the joists next to the rotted plywood. We're going to spray it with mildewcide and kills so that there's no mold growth. And then we're going to install the new plywood on the floor. To do that, it's $1,500. Here's the cost of material. Here's the cost of labor plus our markup, just to show you. And then present it to the homeowner. At that point, they should not, and let me tell you, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, the contractor should not do the work until the homeowner says, yes, let's do it, and signs it and agrees. Yes?
I would agree with that. The contractor should not proceed with that scope of work without an executed change order. That was an unforeseen condition. They weren't going to know what the subfloor was going to look like until they had gotten into the project and opened it up. It's all about being reasonable, explaining to the homeowner, this is what it is, this is what we recommend in our opinion. And if for some reason the homeowner disagrees and won't sign the change order, I would want that in writing as well as the contractor to protect them.
Okay, so now let's fast forward to current times. I'm a contractor for over 30 years, believe it or not. And there was no text messaging back in the day. If a homeowner texts me, hey, Adam, got to change order. I'm in the middle of doing stuff at work today. I know your guys are there right now. Please proceed with the change order. I haven't had time to print out the change order and sign it. I do the change order. Homeowner says, yeah, well, upon further review, I don't want to spend the money. Well, I already did it. That's legal, right? You can submit the text messages and approval in court. Yes or no?
Yes, if I'm representing the contractor and we're in court or we're in arbitration, I am 100% submitting that text message in lieu of the signed change order saying the homeowner approved the scope of work and we're entitled to this as additional compensation.
Okay, and I was curious because, you just don't know. Sometimes people flip-flop or if they forget, job takes a lot longer. He goes, oh, I never said to do that. What do you mean it's $1,500? Here's you approved it. Okay. 248-539-9797. If you have a question, you're a homeowner, you have a builder you're not happy with, you're a builder, a contractor, and you got a homeowner who owes you money, what are your rights? Can you lien the job? We're going to talk about that. We've got Jacob Kahn, he's an attorney from Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit, good law firm. And we just got a question in, Jake. I'm going to ask it to you. It says, I'm currently building a home, and my contractor will not provide me with a sworn statement for his draw request. Is that legal?
So
Wow.
we just talked about this on a commercial break.
Right?
Under the Construction Lien Act, which is Michigan law, you are entitled to a sworn statement, and you are allowed to demand a sworn statement be issued from your contractor that will itemize any work that's self-performed by them and their trades. And it's a notarized document, an oath, that this is, in fact, the contract amounts for all of my trades. This is the amount paid to date. This is the amount outstanding on it, and if there's any extras on those contracts, it will also be identified in that sworn statement.
And I know majority of bank loans, if there's construction financing, they require it because they will not disperse the money without it. But in a situation where it's a homeowner just dealing directly with a contractor and the homeowner demands it, the contractor better comply or they're not going to do the business, correct?
I would agree. The contractor should comply, and as you know, there's something in Michigan called the Michigan Building Contract Fund Act. It was originally a criminal statute, but it's applied in civil cases, which can be used if you pay your contractor and they don't pay their subs. You can go after the contractor in their individual capacity as well as the business, and you can even try seeking treble damages if it's the subcontractor who's suing.
Correct.
And you want that sworn statement because that's that sworn oath that you're relying on that they've paid that trade.
That's important. I agree with you. Well, I think that advice is pretty stellar. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about if a contractor didn't get paid on a job and he says to the homeowner, I'm going to lien the job. But I want to make sure we follow the law to do that. My name's Adam Helfman. We're taking a quick break. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. Got a question this morning. Text us 248-539-9797. We've got Jacob Kahn. He's an attorney and counselor at law from the Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit law firm. So let's flip the tables for a minute, Jake. I'm a contractor. I do the $40,000 kitchen. I tell the homeowner 12 weeks. There's no time clause that says if it exceeds or penalties or anything. But it takes 16 weeks. And it's a legitimate delay reason. But the last payment on the job is 10%. $40,000, right? So $40,000 job, the last payment's $4,000. Homeowner says, you know what? Although we like the kitchen, we love the way it looks, and we're happy. You took 4 extra weeks. Because we couldn't use our kitchen for those 4 weeks, we had to eat out a few times. We want you, the contractor, out of that $4,000 to pay for our meals. My son missed soccer practice. My daughter missed volleyball, and I had to eat out. We want, of the $4,000, we're going to pay you $2,000. We want you to eat $2,000. Now, as a contractor, I busted my ass. I did everything I'm supposed to do, but the job took longer for various reasons. Some was my fault, some was delay of materials, whatever. Does the homeowner have the right to, and I'm going to say, stiff me for $2,000 on the last $4,000 payment?
I think it really comes down to the circumstances of the contract.
Right.
I mean, if the contractor breaches the contract, you have a hard guaranteed completion date, and you miss it at some fault of the contractor or even
correct
uncontrollable reasons, but they put that in there with time of the essence. I mean, the meals, those could be considered what's called consequential damages under the law. Consequential damages have to be foreseeable at the time of contracting. I know if I don't finish this on time, you're not able to use your kitchen. You've told me you're not able to use it, you're going to have to eat out.
Sure.
I'm now been put on notice that not completing it on time might make you incur those costs.
Okay, so you're creating the groundwork for the homeowner to have the ability to try and collect. Now, I had the best, as a contractor, I had the best of intentions. And literally, that last payment is my profit. Okay? So, do I have the right to say to you, Mrs. Homeowner, while I understand you had to eat extra, the 4 weeks extra cost me time too. Cost me money. I'm not charging you extra. So, we should just settle it. And if the homeowner just refuses, do I have the right to tell them, until you pay the full amount, you don't have a warranty because it's not been paid in full? And let's say if there's language in the contract that allows that.
I think it comes down to whether there was a breach, whether their non-payment is a breach, whether there's good cause for it. I think you'd really end up in litigation or arbitration to see if the threat on the warranty is enforceable. I mean, there's a lot of these disputes with the retainage, and as you know, most of the time that is the profit margins.
Right, the last payment.
But so in this case, with a $4,000 retainage, I mean, your options are to lien the property and use that as leverage if you're able to lien the property, or just negotiate some resolution, knowing if you go to arbitration, your attorney fees and costs are going to be a couple grand anyways at a minimum just to get there, that, it might be worth trying to resolve it directly with the homeowner.
That's a really good point. And speaking of liens, and by the way, if you have a question, you can text us 248-539-9797. We've got Jake Kahn. We're talking about contractor law, homeowners getting into fights, lawsuits with contractors and vice versa. The lien. A lien is an instrument or an ability for a contractor to protect his money. Is that the right way to say it? What's the best way to say it to a homeowner?
So I've done work on your home.
Yes.
I've improved your home. I've given you value. The lien protects the work I've done on your property if I haven't been paid to date or paid in full to date. However, as we just mentioned earlier, the Michigan Construction Lien Act governs how liens work in Michigan. For a contractor to be able to file a lien, they need to make sure that the contract they have, it's in writing, it's signed, it has their contractor license in it, their residential builder's license has to be.
If it's not in the contract, they don't have the right to lien?
That's correct.
That's great. So then it becomes slander of title, right?
Yes. So you need the license number, and there's a notice provision that's in the statute that will state any of your trades that need to be licensed are also licensed. So we're talking about your electricians, your plumbers, any of the HVAC contractors. Sure. That language needs to be in there to enforce your lien rights. But yes, as you just talked about, the unlicensed contractor who goes and files the lien, the homeowner can now bring a slander of title, quiet title action against him and seek attorney fees because they've improperly encumbered your property.
And that's why that's why contractors have to be very careful when they apply a lien. Now, what happens if the homeowner says to the contractor, "I'm not paying you"? Contractor says, "You have to pay me," and the work's been done for over 90 days. Is there a limit on the ability to put the lien on the property after a timeline?
That's a great question. Yes, there is. So from the last date of work, you have 90 days to record your lien. If you do not record it on the 90th day, you have lost your right to lien the property. There's a case law talking about the Michigan Construction Lien Act that you can substantially comply with almost every provision in the Lien Act, but the 90-day requirement, it's a hard stop. You have to record it on the 90th day. We always tell our contractor clients, you need to record that in your calendar with a reminder a week before because you cannot miss that date.
So let me ask you this. What's the definition of the last day of work?
Work has to be some sort of improvement on the property. So, for example, if you finished your scope of work 2 weeks ago and then you came back today because the thermostat wasn't functioning right, if that's considered warranty work, that's not an improvement. That's not a day of work. That's warranty work. And you can't let the 90 days run from warranty work. It literally has to be an improvement to the property, work actually done, and you should have some sort of daily report, some log to substantiate it. Because if you get into litigation on this, you have to prove that you actually did work on that day.
So what if we were done, let's say May 1st, but because of pandemic and everything, the final inspection wasn't until June 1st. And the inspector came and found 3 or 4 items. I ended up doing them second, third week in June. Those items were not code, but not warranty. He said, "Hey, I want you to caulk, the fire stop this plumbing or this or that." So that's, how do I do or handle that?
I would, out of an abundance of caution, I'd err and record with 90 days of that first date.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would avoid any risk of the possibility of it being considered warranty work. I'm repairing something that I've already completed or believed I had completed.
Okay, so that's a good piece of advice for contractors. Now, can you file a lien? Now, before you file a lien, is there paperwork, notice of furnishing, notice of commencement, or any of those paperwork pieces that you see in other projects required before you can file a lien in a residential home improvement setting?
Yeah, so the notice of furnishing is a document that literally gives the owner of the property notice that you're making some sort of improvement on the property. Yes, one should be given on all jobs, but even if it wasn't issued in the beginning before you started your work or within 20 days of the work, as long as you file your lien, once again, the substantial compliance, that's not going to bar the contractor from potential recovery.
Makes sense. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We've got Jake Kahn, attorney at law. We're talking contractor stuff. If you have a question, 248-539-9797. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. We're talking about how to fire your contractor, and if you're a contractor, how to fire the homeowner. 248-539-9797. If you have a question Google can't answer, a legal question, we got free advice right now. Adam, I'm a tile contractor that doesn't require me to be licensed. Can I still file a lien? I think to do tile, you have to have a maintenance and alteration license from the state.
Yes, they should have a maintenance and alteration license. I mean, so we haven't gotten to that. We talked about it yesterday, you and I. Any work that's done for $600 or more in labor and materials, the contractor should be licensed by LARA, the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, whether that be a residential builder's license or a maintenance and alteration license. And yes, I would say the masonry, tile, and marble all would be under a maintenance and alterations license.
Makes sense. But if he isn't licensed and does the work and gets stiff, he can't file a lien, can he?
No, that goes back to what we discussed earlier. If an unlicensed contractor records a lien against a property, he could be subject to slander of title, quiet title action, where they'd seek attorney fees for wrongfully encumbering a property.
Litigation's not cheap.
Litigation is not cheap. And, as you know, when you're involving a lien, the Construction Lien Act says it has to be in circuit court, even if the value of the lien is $4,000. And typically, circuit court is for disputes that are $25,000, 1 penny or more.
So you're saying judges don't like to have that, or they don't care for it.
It's more costly to both parties.
Very much,
especially if the lien is under $25,000 and you're in circuit court. It is very expensive to litigate that lien.
Yeah. So, if you're a contractor and you want to get rid of the homeowner, or vice versa, and you're not a match in the middle of the job, everyone's mad at everyone. Is there a way to do a walkaway clause, or a we're not a match clause, or a settlement? What would you do if someone calls you and said, listen, the contractor and I can't get along. I just want to fire him and he just wants to walk away. Can you write a settlement agreement, or can someone hire you for that?
Yeah. I mean, if both parties are willing to excuse the performance of the other party, I mean, that could be as simple as a half-page mutual release, waiving any claims relating to the scope of work performed at that property. Make sure the contractor's been paid for the work performed, and he just walks away, and the homeowner can proceed with finding a new contractor to finish the scope.
Typically, it's easier said than done, as you know.
Typically, it's easier said than done.
A lot of contractors won't go into a job from another contractor. So you fired this guy, you guys didn't get along, and I'm coming in. Like, what's the red flag? Or do I have your permission to call the old contractor and ask why?
And they're not going to offer a warranty on someone else's work.
Of course
so that's
not.
also going to be an issue probably for the homeowner.
What's the proper way, in your opinion, legally, for advice from a contractor or from a lawyer? If I'm a homeowner and the contractor says to me, Mrs. Jones, I'm only going to charge you for the labor, and I want you to buy all the material, and I'll go with you and you buy the material, and we do the contract that way. But, Mrs. Homeowner, if the plumbing, if the faucet, if the furnace that you bought doesn't work properly, not due to my installation, I'm going to have to charge you to replace it and go back and forth. But you're going to save money because I'm not marking up the material. Do you recommend, would you let a homeowner go that route?
I think it depends. So, I mean, if we're talking about a flooring install or a tile install,
Sure.
something that's probably not going to be faulty, where it's a safer bet for the homeowner to save some money and buy that material, that's one thing. I would not recommend a homeowner go buy their own furnace, any sort of mechanical, and then let a contractor install it, because, like you said, any issues that might arise with the functioning, you'd probably be better off letting the contractor install it, make sure there's some warranty in his contract for that work, plus you then get the manufacturer warranty on the device itself.
Right. So there is some risks involved when a homeowner buys the material. But the reason why I ask is because with the advent of, with IKEA, Wayfair, you go online, you see this beautiful vanity cabinet, gray with the granite top, spout faucet, and super shaker look. Everyone's like, oh my God, I saw that on HGTV. It's so great. It's only $1,600. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to pay a guy to install it. Well, sure enough, you hire a contractor, it comes in, forget if it's damaged or not, but the plumbing coming out of the wall is in the middle of a drawer. And you didn't know that, and the contractor said, oh, you're just hiring me to install it, That becomes, okay, now you need more plumbing. Now you got to move something over, and it becomes more and more and more expensive, as opposed to if the contractor, you hired him to say, all right, I want you to supply the cabinet, I want you to install it. At that point, then he's responsible for making sure all the plumbing and everything is in the right location, you would think.
Right. And now if you're moving plumbing, I mean, you're talking about getting permits, you're talking about inspections,
Right.
you're talking about, extension of any contract time because as you know, getting someone, to get the permit, the rough inspection, the final inspection, I mean, you're going to cause delays in any contract you have.
Okay, next step. Homeowner hires a contractor and he says to the homeowner, listen, we don't need to pull a permit. They're only going to increase your taxes, which is a myth, by the way. Don't pull a permit. Let's just get this done this way. What's your advice to the homeowner when he says that?
My advice to the homeowner, anything that's going to change structural, electric, plumbing, your HVAC work in your house, a permit is probably required. If you're not sure if you're being given the proper advice from your contractor, call your local building department. Tell them what the scope of work is, and they'll tell you if one's required. From a homeowner's standpoint,
isn't the law say anything over $600 requires a permit, or
that requires a license? The permit is for any type of changes made to, like I said, the structural, the heating, electrical, plumbing.
Bathroom includes electrical, includes heating, includes plumbing, includes tile work. It includes drywall, paint, insulation, ventilation for the exhaust fan. Like it's almost like building a house in a little bathroom. You must have a permit for a bathroom, correct?
If you're moving the plumbing and you're doing that type of work, then or electrical, absolutely.
Okay. So when the contractor says we don't need a permit, and the homeowner's tempted to not, because a lot of homeowners don't want the city in their house, they just feel like it's an invasion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always the proponent. You should pull a permit every time. Well, let's just say they don't pull a permit. Homeowner agrees. Okay, let's just get away with it. Then there's a fight. Advantage homeowner now, right? Because the contractor did the work without a permit. Yes or no?
Yes, but as you said, I would always agree. There should be a permit pulled. Permit should be pulled by the contractor if you're using a contractor to do the job. It does, even if you don't want someone in your house, it protects the homeowner. The city or township official can hold that contractor accountable if the work is not performed.
Right, they can bar him from doing work in the city or the township until he gets that handled or whatever. I think that's a problem. But again, what about when the contractor says, "Okay, Mrs. Jones, I need to pull a permit," and the homeowner says, "No, you shouldn't." If the contractor has the homeowner sign saying homeowner requests no permit be pulled and they initial it, it's still the contractor's fault. You can't do work without a permit, period.
If I'm representing or advising the contractor in that case and the homeowner's adamant not to pull a permit, I would tell the contractor it's probably not worth their time to do that job.
Right. The risk outweighs the benefit.
Correct. I mean, you know this. But
you're going to be surprised how many, like I get emails from homeowners, "Hey, Adam, I got a bad contractor. What do I do?" I'm like, "Did he pull a permit?" And they're like, "No." Yeah. "Oh, okay. Well, why?" "Well, he said my taxes will go up." So, when you pull a permit, the process is the permit has a value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the assessor gets a copy of any improvements, because when your house is improved, your taxes go up. But for many, many years, they didn't really even look. You know what I'm saying? I live in Bluefield Hills, and I added a bathroom. I spent $30,000. Well, it could be the same bathroom, could be $10,000. I bought gold faucets. That's why it's $30,000. I bought a toilet that wipes your butt, which I love, by the way. My point is, the value is up to me. Is the house worth $30,000 more? Do I get taxed higher now because I have a new bathroom? Most people don't realize. No. You can call the assessor of your city, your township, and they'll tell you what they assess. And because they're so busy with other things, they don't even really look at it. They do, but there's times when they just, all right, keep going. That kind of thing. Now, if you're in Birmingham and every house is worth $1 million and they want to get more tax dollars, I get it. But you're not going to get your taxes increased if you live in Detroit and you have a bathroom remodel. My permit required for carpet or vinyl flooring. Someone just texted in. What do you think? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, there's a material and alteration carpentry license.
Yeah, but for carpet or vinyl flooring.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. It's like windows.
A permit?
Here's one. I'm a fence contractor. I pull permits, and I'm not required to have a building license. 90% of my jobs are 2,000 or more. What type of license do I need? I would say look under maintenance and alteration.
Yeah.
Doing fencing. I literally think that's one of the ways.
It's also worth pointing out that if you get the residential builder's license, you're capable of doing any of the material and alterations license options. If you get a material and alteration license, your license is going to say what you're licensed in.
Right.
But a residential builder can do any of those
All of it.
options.
Yeah.
So
So become a builder.
it's worth getting the builder's license if you can get it because it gives you added protection.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about a qualifying officer, what that means, and I also want to talk about time, if there's a penalty, a time penalty. My name's Adam Helfman. We're going to take a quick break. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Hire It Done. My name's Adam Helfman. Got a question this morning that Google can't answer? Text us 248-539-9797. We got Jacob Kahn from Denowith, Dugan, and Parfit Law Firm, specializing in real estate, business, and contractor law. Jake, I got a text that says, if you're a homeowner doing the work yourself, do you need to pull a permit for a bathroom addition?
Yes, the permit requirement isn't contingent upon a contractor doing the work. A homeowner can still pull the permit if they're doing any changes to their electrical, heating, and plumbing, and they absolutely should be pulling the permit. We were just saying if there's a contractor involved, the homeowner should make the contractor pull the permit in his business's name.
I gotcha. Yeah, and that's the whole point. A lot of times homeowners want to be their own GC, and they do the work themselves, and then they hire licensed contractors to do it. At that point, they still have to pull a permit, right?
Yes, they have to pull the permit.
Now, what if a homeowner doesn't pull a permit, but they hire a plumber and they have the plumber pull a permit, and they hire an electrician and have him pull a permit, and they're doing a kitchen themselves? The inspectors probably could catch that, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, what about if you have a house up north, and you're doing work up in an up north situation like Jim Clark, right? He's working on his projects at the shack on the Black. What do? You pull a permit or you just keep the work going?
I would always advise someone to procedurally pull the right permits that they need to do the work. It protects them. It makes sure the work's inspected. It's done properly. It avoids future issues and avoids any fines or issues with the city or township for not having pulled the permit in the first place.
Okay. You hear that, Jim Clark? Make sure you pull a permit on your work. So, Jake, pulling permits, what if you don't pull a permit and you get caught? Homeowner comes home and there's a big red sticker on the door because there's a dumpster in the driveway. There's all these cabinets in the dumpster. Of course, the nosy neighbor turned you in, right? And then you see this stop work order. Do you think it's, people get nervous? They're not going to jail or anything. They're just doing work without a permit.
And at that point, you're probably calling myself or some other attorney to explain to you how the stop work order works, what type of fines you're facing for not having pulled the permits, and how to rectify the situation, with the city or township.
Okay. Now, let me give you another great example. And by the way, if anyone has a question this morning, text us 248-539-9797. We've got Jacob Kahn, attorney, I'm throwing attorney questions at him for home improvement. And so far, so good. So I know homeowners who've had really bad experiences in the past. And they say to themselves, never again. I'm never going to do this without this. So now they're back to all right, it's time for a kitchen. But we're not. The last contractor took forever. We're going to make sure that if he takes over X amount of time, that he has to pay a penalty. And they call you up, Jake. And they're like, all right, Jake, protect me. We've had bad experiences. I need a penalty clause. Can you write language in the contract for them that says, hey, if the job takes over this amount of time, you're going to pay X? Is that valuable?
Well, as an attorney, I would never call it a penalty. I think what you're referring to is called liquidated damages. Liquidated damages are something you can contract to, which would be, it's too hard to ascertain what my damages might be if you don't complete it by a fixed date. So we're going to assess a fixed dollar amount per day, per week on the contractor for not completing the work. It could be $50, $100 a day. I mean, I've seen on large projects thousands of dollars a day, especially on government contracts, that you're going to have to pay, or they're going to offset any amounts they owe you on that contract based on the liquidated damages that are assessed.
Okay, so that's a really, really good thing. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to play the contractor for a minute. You're the attorney for the homeowner. So, Mr. Attorney, while I agree that you want to protect your homeowner because they're fearful of the job taking too long because of their experience, I get it. And it's not going to happen with me as a contractor. However, I refuse as a business to have liquidated damages unless at the same time, if I finish the job early, you got to pay me a liquidated bonus. Whatever it is, I want a bonus for being early. That way, I've got skin in the game. The homeowner now's got skin in the game, because if I say it's 12 weeks, I say my damages start in the 16th week, meaning I have a 30-day cushion. Mm-hmm. Now, if I finish the job in 8 weeks, which is 30 days early, I should get a bonus for being that early. Now, we need to establish how long the job should take before any of this happens, because I don't want to, say it's it's a 52-week job, and get it done in 20 weeks. Right. So is that acceptable to you?
Yeah. I mean, especially in commercial contracts, but you could do the same in a residential contract. an incentive for the builder to complete it ahead of schedule in exchange for their liquidated damages, which are not a penalty. It's an agreed upon damage amount if they exceed the contract time period. I will say that since the COVID pandemic and everything involving shortages and shutdowns, most contractors will not agree in residential
You couldn't
setting.
even enforce it. Right. It's almost impossible right now. But my point is, if I'm going to be penalized for a job taking longer, and in home improvement, here's the thing. Contractors don't have x-ray vision. They can't know exactly what's behind the wall from an old job. And they're beholden to so many different trades and products and materials that it's hard to, without having a lot of experience, nail it down to a certain amount of time. So I always said, if you want to time liquidated damages, no problem. Let's have a 30-day cooling off period at the end of the job before those get into effect. So it allows me to get everything organized, get it done. And then if day 31, if I'm still not done, then I'm paying that day on 31 through whatever till usable completion or whatever that is. I'm going to pay damages, because that way, if there's a legit delay on something, if it's just me can't get guys to show up, or I'm doing it wrong, I'm a scheduling nightmare. Yeah, I need an incentive, and I need a little fire under my butt to get me finished.
Right.
But you're okay with that, right?
I'm okay with that. And I mean, the same way the homeowner can try to put liquidated damages in the contract with the general contractor can put liquidated damages clauses into his subcontracts with his trades. I mean, if my job is solely delayed because my HVAC contractor was tied up on something else, but he agreed to my contract completion date and the liquidated damages, I'm going to assess those against the trade for the delay as well.
Okay, so now paying a contractor the payment for the job.
Okay.
$40,000 kitchen. I always tell homeowners, never give half down. Make a payment schedule upon completion of items. Now, cabinets have to be ordered. It's one of the biggest costs, so there should be a chunk for the cabinets. But payment process and the payments, do you recommend, if the homeowner says, hey, how do we divide this up, write this out, can you help them with a payment schedule?
Yeah, and that payment schedule should be in the written contract we talked about earlier. I would, as advice to a homeowner, I would never pay the entire job amount in advance.
Right.
That makes no sense.
You know how people do that? They still do that to this day.
It's way too trusting, and
it's high risk.
It's extremely high risk.
Right.
I mean, it's reasonable to make a deposit that will cover the startup costs and some of the material.
Sure.
I'd always pay by a check to the company's name, get a written receipt. But you want to make sure that in the contract itself, it has scheduled payments for the work as it progresses. A lot of times, if it's a job involving permits, you'll have, you give them maybe a third down.
Sure.
The next third is upon the rough inspection of the permit work. And then the final draw would be once all the final inspections are done, the work is completed. We talked about retainage. There might be a 10% retainage on the whole contract that is held to the end of the contract as well.
I have great advice for you on this, by the way, because there's always a little bit of a fight on what's considered complete. I've got the final green tag. I got the certificate of occupancy, but the homeowner says, yeah, you do, but the cabinet knobs are not installed, and I'm not paying you till they're installed. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a $12,000 payment.
Yeah.
So what I always say is we're going to put the definition of usable completion. That's when it's due. And then, of course, you can whittle that down, because a lot of times, homeowners like, listen, I understand it, and the knobs are coming in on a slow boat from, wherever, and they're going to take 60 days. Mm-hmm. Why should I wait for my last payment for a bunch of knobs? So I've had where it says usable completion. You can use your kitchen, but your knobs are going to be put in, or hold back the amount to equal the value of the knobs. If they were $600 knobs, hold back $600 plus another $600 for install, $1,200 as opposed to $12,000. Would you, as an attorney, agree to something like that?
I think that's a very reasonable approach.
Right. And so common sense, I don't want it to be you against me. I want the homeowner and the contractor to have like this marriage that's fruitful, happiness, and then when they're done, they part ways.
Yeah. I mean, being level-headed, being able to reasonably discuss with each other without emotions getting heated. Right. And that's the problem, homeowners' cases.
Right.
It's like a divorce. You're very emotionally tied to your property, and it can get ugly quick.
I want to thank Jacob Kahn from Denton with Dugan and Parfit. We're at the end of the hour, brother. Good job. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for tuning in today. If anyone has a question, go to hireitdone.com. Ask Adam. I'd love to help you. This is the Hire It Done Radio Network.